Imagine walking into a company, expecting the same respect and professionalism everyone else receives, only to be told to wait outside because of the way you look. This is exactly what happened to a black CEO at the height of his career. As he stood in the lobby, his mind raced. Was it a mistake? A misunderstanding? Or was it something deeper, rooted in prejudice? What makes this story even more shocking is what happened just moments later. This CEO, who had built his empire from the ground up, was about to do something no one saw coming. As the receptionist dismissed him with a cold stare, the tension in the air was palpable. But little did she know, she was about to witness a dramatic turn of events. What happened next is a story that will leave you questioning everything about the world of business, race, and power. How did one moment of disrespect lead to the downfall of an entire company? Why did the CEO make the decision that would change everything? Stay tuned, because this story isn't just about an individual's struggle, it's a wake-up call that challenges the status quo in corporate America. To understand the gravity of the situation, you need to know a bit about the CEO. He wasn't just any entrepreneur. He was someone who had fought tooth and nail to build his company from the ground up, starting with nothing. His business had grown exponentially, attracting attention from high-profile investors and clients. His leadership was recognized across the industry, and his success was a symbol of perseverance. Yet, here he was, waiting in a corporate lobby, treated like an outsider. The receptionist, on the other hand, didn't know the man she had just dismissed. She hadn't done any research, hadn't bothered to ask his name or his purpose. In her mind, he was just another person walking in, unimportant, waiting for their turn. It wasn't until she turned to her computer to check her schedule that the truth began to dawn on her. The CEO had an appointment with one of the company's top executives. Yet, despite his name being on the visitor list, he was still told to wait. Was this a simple mistake? Or was there something more going on beneath the surface? The tension between them hung in the air, thick with unspoken questions and assumptions. The CEO remained calm, but in his eyes, a storm was brewing. This wasn't just about a missed appointment, it was about something far deeper. And what happened next would leave everyone stunned. As the CEO sat there, quietly waiting, his thoughts raced. He had dealt with prejudice before, small slights, condescending comments, and sideways glances. But this was different. The casual dismissal he had just received wasn't a mistake, it was a message. It was as if his success, his very presence, was being undermined simply because of who he was. It was a reminder that, no matter how far he had come, there would always be people who saw him as less, who would place limits on his potential because of the color of his skin. Meanwhile, the receptionist, oblivious to the storm she had just ignited, went about her day. She didn't see the man sitting in front of her as the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. She didn't understand the weight of the moment. To her, he was just another visitor, a routine part of the job. But her actions, though seemingly trivial, had set off a chain of events that would change everything. Across the office, the executives were finishing their meeting, unaware of the tension brewing in the lobby. But there was one person who felt the shift. Jasmine, the CEO's assistant. She had worked with him for years and knew the way he operated. Something was off today. The moment she saw him sitting in the lobby, she knew this wasn't just another ordinary visit. Her instincts told her he wouldn't let this slide. But what could he do? Walk out and forget about the incident, or confront it head-on, risking everything he had built in the process? As Jasmine waited for him to make a move, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just about one rude receptionist. This was about a system that didn't want him in the room, a system that he had fought tirelessly to overcome. But no one was prepared for the choice he was about to make. The silence in the lobby felt heavier with each passing minute. The CEO, still seated, kept his eyes fixed ahead, his fingers tapping lightly on the armrest. He didn't want to react impulsively, but the thought of walking away now, of letting the incident slip, gnawed at him. He had worked too hard to be dismissed so casually, too hard to let anyone diminish the value of his presence. Jasmine, still observing from a distance, felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She had seen him angry before, but this wasn't the same. This wasn't just about one moment of disrespect. It was the culmination of years of fighting against a system that constantly tried to push him down. And as she watched him sit there, unyielding, she knew this wasn't going to be a simple confrontation. Whatever he was about to do, it would change everything. Minutes turned into what felt like hours. The receptionist, now growing uneasy, glanced at the clock and shuffled papers nervously. She could sense something was wrong. She didn't know who the man in the lobby was, but something about the way he carried himself made her realize this wasn't a situation she could brush off. She reached for the phone, ready to call the executive he was scheduled to meet, but it was too late. In the back office, the CEO's phone buzzed with a message from Jasmine. It was brief, but it cut straight to the heart of the matter. Asterisk, he's not leaving. Asterisk, a simple line, yet it carried an enormous weight. The stage was set. The decision had been made. The receptionist had no idea what she had just set in motion. The CEO stood up, straightening his jacket with deliberate precision. He took one last look around the lobby, as if weighing the cost of what was about to happen. Jasmine met his gaze from across the room, and without a word she knew. This wasn't just about a personal slight anymore. This was about standing up for something bigger, something the entire company would soon understand. And then, as he walked toward the elevator, it became clear. He wasn't just about to leave, he was about to shut it all down. As the CEO stepped into the elevator, his mind was focused, but there was still an unease gnawing at him. He had made up his mind. This wasn't going to go unanswered. But as the elevator doors closed, he got a notification on his phone. It was an email from his lawyer, subject, asterisk urgent, immediate action needed asterisk. His heart skipped a beat as he opened the message. It was about a merger deal that had been in the works for months. A deal that was supposed to secure the future of his company. But the email contained shocking news. The merger was on the verge of falling apart, and he was being blamed for it. The CEO's pulse quickened. The timing couldn't have been worse. His company was already on shaky ground, and this potential collapse of the merger could ruin everything. He felt the weight of the situation crushing him. The disrespect he had just encountered at the front desk now felt trivial in comparison. His company's survival was on the line, and suddenly, the receptionist's careless dismissal wasn't the only battle he had to fight. As he exited the elevator, Jasmine rushed toward him. Her eyes were wide with concern as she handed him a stack of papers. "You need to see this," she said, voice low. The papers were related to the merger, but there was something more, something hidden between the lines. It didn't take him long to connect the dots. The email was right. Someone from within his own team had sabotaged the deal, and the odds were stacked against him more than he realized. Now, he wasn't just fighting for respect, he was fighting to save everything he had built. But as the gravity of the situation hit him, a realization set in. The battle for his company wasn't just about corporate rivalries, it was about trust. Someone close to him was playing a dangerous game, and he had no idea who. He had to act fast, but time was running out. The CEO's mind raced as he stood there, staring at the papers in his hand. Jasmine watched him, waiting for him to process the full scope of what was unfolding. But he wasn't thinking about the merger anymore. He wasn't even thinking about the receptionist. His focus had shifted completely. The sabotage was personal, and it cut deeper than anything else. He could feel the walls closing in, but there was no time to waste. If he didn't act quickly, everything he had worked for would be gone. In a flash, he made a decision. "Get me the board," he told Jasmine. "Now." Within minutes, the board members were on a video call, their faces appearing on the screen, each one looking equally confused and anxious. He didn't waste time with pleasantries. "We've been betrayed," he said bluntly. "The merger's been sabotaged from within, and I know who's behind it." The room fell silent. No one dared to speak as the CEO's voice took on a cold edge. "I have the evidence, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth." He clicked a button on his phone, and a second video call popped up, one from his lawyer.